So I'm here on the disruption stage, supposedly talking to people who know more about the subject than I do. Normally, that would be an invitation to refuse. It would be common sense to say, no, I can't do that. So what is it that makes us say yes? It's difficult because we are wired to be negative. 30,000 thoughts a day, 80% are negative. So that's a mindset that we have to break to be able to start saying yes and disrupt and change and do new things and innovate and create. When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with asthma. And, like any child, all I wanted to do was play with my mates and do sports. But doctor said, you cannot. You cannot because you'll end up in hospital. And that I saw as an opportunity to take a challenge. Even at a young age, I figured out that if I had my medication with me, I could pretty much do whatever I wanted. So through that, I continued to push through sports and achieved my dream, which was to play international basketball. With success, as being MVP of the season a few times. And until at the peak of my basketball career, I wrecked my knees, tore my ligaments and my cartilage and all that. And doctor said, you know what, Nathan? You can't play basketball anymore. So I did my rehab. I actually signed up for a degree in physiotherapy to make sure I knew what I was doing. And I went back to the game. And after 3 years, tore my cruciates again, same knee. And the surgeon came and said, Nathan, come on. You can't keep doing this. So that time I decided I would listen. But he went on and said, you know what? All this sports stuff, that's really bad for you. You're going to end up with a knee replacement at 40. I'm 42, so he's already wrong. The point is that he said that you can't run, you can't cycle. I should take up swimming or golf. No way! I'm at the peak of my career. I've had a couple of, serious operations, but I'm sure I can do more with this body before it falls apart. So I signed up for an Ironman race, which is a 4-kilometer swim, followed by a 180-kilometer cycle, followed by a full marathon. And I really enjoyed the painful experience. The thing is, it gave me a buzz that I had never experienced before, even in competitive sports, because it was something that was about the mind-body link. And since then, I've done some crazy things which people said I can't do, such as run 27 full marathons, back-to-back, in 27 different countries, raising 100,000 euros for charity. Or run around, thank you. Or run around Mont Blanc non-stop, over 160 kilometers. Or run for 28 hours across the Dolomites non-stop. And this was all come about this mindset that a problem to me is a challenge to overcome. It just gets under my skin when someone says you can't. I was on a recent adventure. I was running across Corsica. I had run for about 200 kilometers, and I was feeling very sick. I noticed something was wrong because when I went to pee, it came out black. So I said, something wrong here. So I checked myself into a clinic, and after about 4 bags of IV to try and get some process of liquid going through my kidneys, the French doctor comes in, and he says, your CPKs are 14,000. And I gave him a blank stare because I didn't know what that meant. He said, a normal person has a CPK of 100. I went, that doesn't sound good. He said, no, at 7,000, you're normally in a coma. He said, what have you been doing? Well, I said, I've just been running 200 kilometers in the heat. He said, that doesn't even explain these numbers. You have to stop. You cannot continue. And I went, I've just spent 24 hours running. Of course I'm going to continue. I have to jump into the sea and swim to Sardinia, and then I have to get onto a bike and get to the end at the bottom of Sardinia. That's a 16-kilometer swim and a 450-kilometer bike ride, non-stop. So I had an argument with the doctor. He changed shift, fortunately, so I was allowed to escape. And I proceeded, and I finished. So the thing is, here you're talking about what people know about what you can do, but he doesn't know me. He's looking at a book, which described what normal is. But what is normal? Having a job or going off and creating something new? What is normal? So in work, it was the same. I graduated from my physiotherapy degree, and I went to work for a hospital. And they said to me, so these are the rules of the game. You can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. I said, hold on a second. I've got all this information I've just learned at university, and you're telling me I can't apply it? So I went off and opened my own clinics. After a while, I got a bit bored, so I went to work for hospitality, running a health spa in the management team. Learning the ropes about management. And our general manager decided that he was going to quit. So the owners of the hotel came to me and said, would you like to take his job? And I went, of course I would. I said, so I'll be the, do I get the pay packet that the guy has? He said, no, you're still far too inexperienced. We can give you a fair pay. I said, okay, that's fair enough. So do I get the title? And he said, well, no, you can't have the title because you don't have enough experience. And I said, so what do I call myself? You're the acting general manager. I went, okay. So if this all goes to pot, can I just act like it wasn't my fault? But you know what? The more I acted like I owned the place, the more I learned how to be a leader, and I learned how to engage my team and get them to actually want to work with me to achieve the goals we had set, even without the title. After 6 months of acting, I took a job with a new foundation, Razat Arbiberi at the time, which was working with people with disabilities. And I worked there for a short while when I went up and said, look, it looks like that we could do some really big changes here, and I would like to lead those changes. And I was 26 years old, and I said, I'd like to take over the role of chief executive. And the board got together and they said, we'd love you to run this show, but at 26, you're a bit young to be a chief executive. We'd like to give you the title of chief administrator. I went, okay, fine, what's in the title? Do I have the authority? Yes, you do. Okay, so off I went and built up this organization, which today raises sustainably 3 million euros a year. It employs 160 people. And we support 1,000 families who have children and adults with disabilities in order to support them to achieve their full potential. I've worked overseas, and I've always been interested in entrepreneurship. I've always wanted to be creating stuff. I'd come up with an idea and want to put it into place. And most of the time, it was always the same battle. No, that's a bad idea. You can't do that. So therefore, the challenges. So what is it that gives us the mindset to think differently and say yes? And for me, when we look at the challenge of how we live our lives and how we battle the stuff we want to do with the stuff we have to do, we're wired to suffer. We need to think a different way. And I'd like to share with you some ideas, very briefly. Everybody talks about the bucket list. Yeah? Most of the stuff on most people's bucket lists I've done. Bucket lists are put there so people do them later. I'll learn how to sail. I'll start my own business. I'll go get another degree. All stuff we might do later because we're busy now. And the problem with that is that most of the stuff that could give us, from a development perspective, is lost because we're doing it later, when sometimes it's pretty much useless. So I don't have one bucket. I have 4. Find flow. Flow is about getting out of your comfort zone. It's about doing things that scare you. It's about doing things that logic sometimes says, that's a bad idea. But it doesn't have to be going out and bungee jumping or parachuting. It can simply be driving a new route to work, or brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, or saying yes to the opportunity to give a speech. That is scary enough to trigger our brains into starting to think differently, rewiring new pathways. Second is impact. altruism, making a difference to others, doing things not for financial gain, but for growth, through opportunity, sharing. If you're a boss, taking care of your people. If you're a colleague, supporting your peers. Whatever it is you do, find a way to make a difference to someone else. Take on roles with responsibility. If you decide you want to become a parent, you take that role seriously and you live up to its full expectation. If you accept a promotion, you do that job diligently in the best way possible. We have different roles. I'm a son, therefore I should put time to be with my parents. I'm a brother. I'm a friend, a colleague. These are roles that we accept and we must define them. What is it expected of me to make sure that I live this role to the full? And if you think you can't, say no to it. The fourth, excellence. Be better tomorrow than you are today. Find ways to improve, sharpen the saw, do things that will make you better, that will make you excellent. Don't accept mediocrity. Learn, read, explore, say yes to opportunities, because excellence comes through experience and focus. F-I-R-E, light your fire by filling these 4 buckets all at the same time every day, rather than wait and fill that 1 bucket sometime in the future. Saying yes is a mindset. Cannot is a mindset. Put your right hand over your right ear. Cannot is a mindset. You can change it. I asked you to do that because I didn't want it to go in from one ear and out the other. Okay? Now it's in here. You can change it. You decide. Good luck.